Not letting off the gas. This time, the Ohio Valley and Northeast. This in a threat zone, and this after days of severe weather where we saw close to 60 confirmed tornadoes. Welcome to Weather Unfiltered. I'm Dr. Rick Knabb.
And I'm Molly McCollum. We've had a number of different weather events over the past couple of days, really. This week has felt extremely long just because of how busy it's been. But we're going to stay busy because we're watching several things, including nothing says Memorial Day weekend like a nor'easter.
Well, at least I think we'll get it out of here by the time the weekend arrives. But the next few days are going to be nasty. It's the same upper level trough that's been producing the severe weather this week, but now it's changing roles in producing not a snowstorm, but a lot of rain, coastal flooding, wind, and just soggy mess.
Overall, just kind of miserable. Something that you wouldn't think of happening really necessarily in late May, and certainly delivering that weather that is not very late May-like.
No, it's a very late season rare thing, but it could still be disruptive to travel. And then the rain returns to a part of the country where we've already seen way too much of it this spring.
And we always consider the unofficial start of summer this weekend, Memorial Day weekend. But look at this big chill that we're going to be seeing. For so many of us, we're talking 5 to 15 degrees below average.
Now, for some of us who don't like it getting into the upper 80s, like some of my family members, they're like, hey, you take a few notches off that heat before the real summer begins. I'm actually okay with that.
You know, a lot of polls opening this weekend and everything. That's going to make it, because a lot of people take a long weekend when it comes to Memorial Day travel. A lot of people start traveling on Thursday, which you heard Dr. Knabb say that's really the peak of this nor'easter. Now, when it comes to nor'easters, there's a definition and there's some criteria that we need to hit. By the way, you're taking a virtual view here, and you have to have that strong northeasterly wind. Check, we've got that. Typically occurs along the East Coast. Check, we've got that. Most frequent in winter. Yeah, we typically do see them in winter. It's not completely unheard of to see them this time of year. It's just unusual. And of course, it's doing some unusual things to our temperatures too, like say in Fenway Park tomorrow, 40s, raining, windy. Not necessarily baseball weather when you think of late May, thinking of, you know, instead of getting a cool drink, you're like, maybe I need some hot chocolate at Fenway Park. It's certainly not what you're anticipating when you sign up to go to that game in late May. We've got some rain moving in across Pennsylvania right now, not quite to the coast yet, but things are going to start to go downhill pretty quickly. We already have some chillier temperatures in place in the 40s as we go throughout the next couple of hours, some lighter showers. But tomorrow morning, look at that heavy rain that's passing through. We've got Providence, we've got Boston. It's going to be rough commutes pretty much all around and up and down from areas New York all the way up to Boston, even up into Maine. But it's also going to be accompanied by some very strong wind. So you take this rain, you take the wind. At points, we're going to have the stronger onshore flow. That's going to lead to some coastal flooding problems. So basically, you've got all the trappings of a nor'easter that you just don't have the snowy side of things that you would see in the winter time with the classic winter nor'easter. But thank goodness, right? About 2 inches of rain. That's what we're expecting from Providence up through the Boston area. New York also feeling the much cooler temperatures. If we can get through tomorrow in New York, we're actually going to be rewarded by all accounts a pretty nice weekend. I mean, 60s still below average, but nice enough that you can get out and enjoy, you know, walk around the city. It's Fleet Week, so you can enjoy that. 75 on Monday. So we're headed towards better weather. We just have Thursday and really Friday morning to get through first. So let's get through the timing here in New York, because you're starting to see the rain move in. The temperature is starting to fall. It's only in the 50s right now. It's uncomfortable. We've got the rain for you tomorrow morning, and it'll come in waves as far as some of the heavier rain. Lighter rain to end off the day on Thursday, and then we start to see more of a clearing trend as we head towards the weekend. Of course, that's really important, not just for travel in and around New York City, but for a lot of people who may be connecting through New York City to get to your Memorial Day weekend destination. 1 to 2 inches of rain there in New York City. This is Saturday, so we start to see some improvements along the 95 corridor. Washington, D.C., we're good to go, right? We have major improvements. New York City, Boston still holding on to the cooler temperatures, but still have some lingering rain up towards the Maine area, up into Burlington. So we're not quite done on Saturday, but we're getting really close. Let's take you into Kansas City right now and look at some of, well, actually, we're going to take you to some of the coastal flooding and tidal impacts that we're expecting from the nor'easter, because we do have some areas that will be seeing the coastal flooding. Actually, we're going to go to Dr. Nab for this, for the coastal flooding. Sorry, my name was was on the list, Dr. Nab. That's the reward. We just got to get through Thursday and Friday first. Let's take you into Kansas City. I feel like when we've shown this camera a lot as of late, it's been for storms rolling in. Thankfully, that's not the case today, but I wish it was better news for your forecast for this weekend in Kansas City, because we do have quite a bit of rain that's going to be moving in. Temperatures pretty nice right now, especially when you look at late May. It could certainly be a lot hotter in Kansas City, and we're actually going to hold steady in the 60s for the next couple of days. We get to Saturday. Unfortunately, now you've got all your outside plans. Maybe you've got some family members in town, and we bring the rain. Maybe some thunderstorms, but it's mainly going to stay some rain. As we go through the holiday weekend, all the way to Monday, the long weekend, we still have rain, so it's not looking great for your holiday weekend forecast. Go ahead and come up with that plan B as far as, okay, what can we do inside? What activities can we make for the kids inside? Because the weather improves pretty much right after the holiday weekend. And we're gonna have to watch this area really closely, because there's the potential for some heavy rain. We're talking in areas that are already saturated from the rounds of severe weather that we've had basically all spring, one after the next, Springfield being one of those areas. Northeastern Oklahoma, 5 to 8 inches of rain. That could be the bullseye of where we see some of the heaviest rainfall amounts. And unfortunately, those are areas that we've seen a lot of the rain recently. A lot of available moisture that's certainly not lacking, especially this time of year. Multiple disturbances move through, all tapping into that moisture. So we will have multiple opportunities to see some of those heavy downpours. This is Saturday through Sunday morning. So we're getting into busy holiday travel. We're getting into the outside activities. We're getting into maybe some of the services for Memorial Day weekend. And Kansas City, Springfield, St. Louis, all areas that we'll be monitoring really closely for flash flooding and just too much rain in a short amount of time. Here's the timing for us. Saturday morning, we're waking up in northeastern Oklahoma, Little Rock, Springfield, Kansas City, rounds of rain coming through. There's the multiple disturbances, multiple pieces of energy diving through parts of the plains, all producing extremely heavy rain. And for Sunday into Monday, now we're into the holiday, and we are still watching the heavy rain coming down, saturating soil. Basically, we're laying the groundwork with the first couple of disturbances, and then we just put more rain on top of that. By Monday morning, still raining. Well, coming up on Weather Unfiltered, Hurricane Harvey is widely... We are just 10 days away from the official start of Atlantic hurricane season. And if you live in a hurricane-prone state, now is the time we want you to start getting ready. And don't wait until there's a storm knocking on your door. Right, right. And as we count down to June 1, we're going in depth on game-changing tropical cyclones. What's changed since some past notable storms? What hasn't in some cases since landfall? And we're going to kick off our series tonight with a look at two storms that hit Texas very hard, Allison and Harvey. You know, and a lot of the storms we're going to talk about in the coming days as we head into this new season are storms that have created changes that have made us ready in a different way for upcoming hurricanes, new products, new procedures. But I'm going to make the argument tonight that Allison and Harvey have not done that. Have they done anything in Houston to change the outcome of a future disaster? And I was in the Houston area for part of the year in 2001. I got family there. And after Allison happened, that was the storm of record in the Houston area, a tropical storm that sat there and produced devastating flooding. And you would think, when looking at some of these numbers, oh, well, it certainly can't get any worse than this, a tropical storm, too. Right. And then Harvey comes along. And if anyone, especially if you're not from the Houston area, thinks that it was a hurricane that produced the flooding disaster in Houston, no, it was a tropical storm when it was producing the flooding in the Houston area. And now this is the storm of record in the Houston area for flooding. It was not a hurricane anywhere near Houston, and this was Allison sent to the next level. Now, after Allison and before Harvey, there was far fewer than half the people in the Houston area that had flood insurance. So we didn't learn from Allison to get more people insured. And since Harvey in 2017, now it's been 8 years, and it's still not changing. So flood insurance, you know, obviously something that people need. A lot of people don't even realize sometimes that they need it. But beyond that, what else has not changed that you're looking at the Houston area and saying, if we get another Allison, if we get another Harvey, this is going to be even worse? Yeah, that's because development, you know, homes,
businesses still being developed in floodplains. You know, you go out west of downtown Houston, where I went to junior high and high school, there are reservoirs that are designed to control the flooding as it tries to drain from west of Houston into the Gulf. But there are homes in those areas, right? And there continues to be development in areas that are very flood prone. And so we're putting people into very dangerous locations to begin with. But then developers, they build the homes and they go away, but now it's up to the people who live in those homes to get flood insurance. Now, we realize that the cost of flood insurance is going up,
right,
because FEMA is changing the risk assessment in a legitimate way. If you live in a more vulnerable area, then the insurance is going to be more expensive. But that is doing two things. One, it's causing people who can afford it to decide, no, I'm going to spend my money on other things. And it's causing people who can't afford it, legitimately live in near poverty, in very flood-prone areas, they can't afford flood insurance. So we don't have any more people that have flood insurance 8 years after Harvey than we did before Harvey.
So what can we do to prepare? Because we know, hurricane season is approaching. We know inevitably, Texas and right there on the Gulf. What can we do to prepare?
Well, we can educate folks on what the realities are. We individually, you might not be able to change what the government policies are on the flood insurance program and what the officials do in the Houston area to mitigate against flooding, which hasn't been a whole lot since Harvey. But you can educate yourself. And one of the misconceptions that people tend to have, one of the reasons that they don't get flood insurance, even in the Houston area, is they don't think they need separate flood insurance, or they just don't think they're vulnerable. And everybody in Houston, if it can rain where you live, and it can in Houston, it can flood where you live, you need to demand flood insurance even if your insurance agent tells you don't need it, because not every agent gives you good advice.
Right, and that, there's a lot of conversations that are had that a lot of people, you hear over and over again afterwards, well, I just didn't think that I needed it, or I didn't think it could flood in this area.
Right, and there are still people moving to Houston who are new to the area and don't know the vulnerabilities. It's one of the most flood vulnerable areas in the country, and it's a separate policy that you need to get through your agent. And I want to show one more graphic that we want to highlight that it takes 30 days for a flood insurance policy to go into effect. But these are the things that your conventional homeowners and renters insurance does not cover. Flash flooding, river flooding, coastal flooding, storm surge. Don't assume you're covered.
A tropical storm, hurricane, right there. You go down the list. It's not covered.
So we've got to get ourselves ready no matter what the insurance policies are.